Good evening, everyone. This is Teresa Smith, Vice Chair of the Disability Issues and Advisory Board. I welcome you all here this evening as we get started for this new school year. Ms. Johnson, I actually think you've already done this, but I was going to ask you to start the recording. The time is now 6:10. And for those who are unable to observe now, the meeting is being recorded and can be accessed on the PGCPS YouTube channel for later viewing. Ms. Vickery, could you please take the roll call?
Yes. Um, Board Member Eris Adejeke. Did I say that correctly?
No, Ariolua Ajikaye.
Ariolua Ajikaye.
Yes, present.
Thank you. Member Sylvia Amaya. Chair Blackwell.
Present.
Ms. Bowman.
Present.
Ms. Byrne.
Present.
Ms. Dorsey. Ms. Doyle. Mr. Dwyer.
Present.
Ms. Cottrell.
Present.
Ms. Torian Myers.
Present.
Board Member Olivo. Olivo.
Olivo. Very close.
Olivo.
Present.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And sorry if you see me repeating, that's just so I can remember how to pronounce correctly. Ms. Payne.
Present.
Ms. Patrick.
Present.
Vice Chair Smith.
Present.
Ms. Vickery. I am present. And Ms. Wingate Robinson.
Present.
Vice Chair, we have quorum with a total of 13 present.
With the quorum present, the Disability Issues Advisory Board meeting will come to order.
Vice Chair, I'm sorry. I need to account for Board Member Brown. I'm so sorry. I was taking attendance and not looking at my screen.
So,
No problem.
Vice Chair, might I interject for just a quick second? So Sharice, board members Olivo and Brown are not voting members for the app, so you don't have to call their names for the roll call.
No problem. But I do want to acknowledge for your attendance, Vice Chair, Board Member Brown is present as well.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right, so we're going to move right into agenda item 3.0, and that is the approval of the minutes. Approval of the June 9th, 2025 meeting minutes. If there are no corrections, the advisory board shall approve the June 9th, 2025 meeting minutes as distributed. Ms. Vickery.
I do want to acknowledge that there were corrections that were made at our last meeting and as well as offline to acknowledge that there was a correction to Ms. Toria Myers' last name. We had her listed just by Myers, and it is Toria Myers. In addition, we, in our May, I believe our May meeting as well, those minutes were resubmitted to make sure that we properly acknowledged when we introduced Mr. Dwyer and Ms. Toria Myers to the board.
Thank you for relaying that information. And I actually have some corrections. I don't know what's the best way to relay them, but right now I'll try to relay them how I see fit, and you just let me know otherwise. So on page 2, let me also state this. The concerns that I had with the meeting minutes were mostly related to grammatical errors. So on page 2, item number 3, there's a statement that that was being made, but it's not fully completed. On page 3, I think we're still under item 3. No, we're not. So on page 3, it's falling under item 5.1, employment and hiring. It's the second paragraph there. It starts at the sentence. It says, Ms. Bowman advised that Vice Chair Smith would be under. It's just some grammatical errors with that sentence as well as the one after that. Item 5.3 is the first paragraph. Item 6.0 is the second paragraph towards the bottom. It's the last sentence in that second paragraph. And it's also, oh, where does this sentence start? In that same paragraph, it starts at Vice Chair Smith advised that the recommendations review. There's a grammatical error with that sentence. I think this is still the same section, but page,
Tell me the last one again.
yeah,
6.1, was it?
Uh,
Or 6.2?
6.1.
6.1.
Uh-huh.
On page
Page 4,
4. Okay.
and then it's the second paragraph, and it starts with Vice Chair Smith. And then the one before that one was just simply the last sentence.
Okay.
All right.
Sorry, I'm just pulling them out so that I can go back and correct them.
Okay, no problem. Page 5 is still that same item 6.1. And it's the first paragraph. And it is,
Is that the one that ends in June 26th board meeting?
yes.
Got you.
And it's it looks like it's the last two. It is not. It's the second to last two sentences.
Okay.
And then my last one was on page 6. The
Mhm.
item number is 8.0, and it's similar to the very first one. It looks like a statement was being made, but it didn't get completed. It's the second paragraph.
I caught it. I see it.
Okay.
I wonder if I saved before it's saved, but I'll have to go back to listen to the meeting again to
Okay.
pick up where that was.
No problem.
8.0, new business. Page 6. For the public, just to be advised, sometimes the way I write my notes is that when we're going on and we're missing things, I'll put a bolded part. And so these are probably bolded parts that I missed when I was going back and making sure we had everything. I have a question for a point of clarity.
Mhm.
How would you, if I go back and I listen to these and these are sections where maybe people were talking over one another, how would you guys like me to identify that?
Vice Chair, may I interject?
Absolutely.
So you could say there was a robust discussion amongst the members, without specifically naming anyone. If it's not really clear who's speaking, you could just say that the members were engaged in a robust discussion.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Is there any other feedback to this item, approval of the meeting minutes for June 29th, 2025? All right, hearing none. Because there are corrections, let me just read this real quick. Okay, I think I have to formally make this statement. Ms. Vickery, please take note of the corrections. If there are no further corrections, the advisory board shall approve the June 9th, 2025 meeting minutes as corrected. All right. Item 4.0, adoption of the agenda. Adoption of the September 9th, 2025 meeting agenda If there are no objections, the advisory board shall adopt the September 9th, 2025 meeting agenda. Hearing no objections, the September 9th, 2025 meeting agenda is adopted. 5.0, report of the chair. So again, I would like to welcome everyone back, and I hope that you all enjoyed your summer. We are now here to resume our work. I would like to begin by informing you about the meeting that we had with CCAC over the summer. There we discussed cross-cutting priorities in preparation for an upcoming meeting with the interim superintendent, Dr. Joseph. I'd like to be a little detailed. I believe that meeting is scheduled for September 22nd. I want to just take a quick look. And the executive board will be meeting with him. And all we plan to do is just share our recommendations report. He was not in place at the time we presented this to the Board of Education. So we're going to use that time to just go over the items that's inside of the report. And I cannot pull the date up, but I believe it's September 22nd, if that's a Monday. That's what I do remember. It is September 22nd. Okay. Okay, so then the other item that I needed to do was to allow our new members introduce themselves. So board member Olivia, would you like to have the floor to introduce yourself to us?
Thank you so much, Ms. Smith. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here. And I'm so thrilled to be Board Member Brown's alternate or support here as your liaison. You may know I'm pretty new to the Board of Education. I was just appointed at the end of April. I am a PGCPS parent. My older son graduated from Parkdale High School in 2024. He is a twice exceptional student, so I am very familiar with the IEP and the 504 and all the things. And then my younger son is a sophomore at Duval this year. So again, I'm just thrilled to be here to work with this incredible group of folks and to support you in any way I can. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, welcome aboard. Our student board member, I did not pay attention when you were pronouncing your name, so please forgive me. But you have the floor now, and I need to be like Miss Vickery and repeat it so that I can retain the information. I heard if you say somebody's name 3 times, you will remember it. So that will be my goal with you. So you have the floor.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. My name is Ariolua Ejikaye, and I currently go to Eleanor Roosevelt High School. I'm a senior there. I'm really excited to, serve on this committee, as I do have a younger brother who has autism, and I do support him like through his physical therapy appointments, his speech therapy, occupational therapy appointments. So I'm just so excited to be able to serve as a student voice on this committee this year, and I can't wait to work with all of you.
Awesome. We are excited for you to be here. I'm always advocating to have that student voice. So I'm so glad that you joined tonight and that you will be here for our future meetings. Ms. Johnson, were those the only 2 individuals that are new members?
Yes, yes, because I think in the last meeting, Tangela and Christopher did introduce themselves. So, yeah.
Fabulous. Thank you for confirming this for me. All right, so we're going to move right along to presentations, item 6.0, which I think will be also led by me. So the first item is related to our recommendations report. So we did ask the Board of Education to provide feedback by August 31st. And from my understanding, they are actively working on that feedback, and it will be prepared by our October meeting. I know that we're going to meet twice this month. So you all can look forward to having the feedback from that report by then. Board Member Brown, is there anything additional that I need to state?
No, you stated exactly that. So myself and board member Olivo, we are on it. So
Awesome.
we're super excited, and I'm really happy to hear that you have a meeting with the interim superintendent as well. And so it's all coming together. It's all coming together. We are continuously advocating for you all. So thank you so much for your patience and your recommendations.
Awesome. Oh my goodness, I just lost my agenda here. Hold on, guys. I know I have it up on another device. Well, I'll try to figure out what happened over here. So the next item is related to the legislative priorities at the district level. So normally legislative season for the school district, as far as the discussions, would be held in November. It was moved up this year and is being held on September 19th. That did not give us time as a group to discuss, but we needed to bring that information here. So let me start by saying what I know are the two top legislative priorities that's applicable, that I think is applicable to this group. Hold on, guys. All right. And I need to preface this by saying that the Board of Education met with the administrators, and there was a vote taken. So these items, well, let me say this, the items that are the priorities have already been voted on. So the top two is related to special education, specifically increased funding for multi-tiered systems of support to address the individual needs of students receiving special education, services and incentives to attract and retain special educators and related service providers. Then the next one is construction and facilities, sufficient funding to address PGCPS's urgent need to provide healthy places for our scholars to learn, renovate aging school buildings, complete infrastructure and facility repairs of our aging school buildings, and receive annual inflation adjustments for new construction costs. Now, I will let you all know that I did put in a request for the Disability Issues Advisory Board to have a seat at the table. But unfortunately, DAP has not been invited to Legislative Day. From my understanding, this is due to space limitation. The additional feedback that was shared was that it will be looked into next year, and that the board anticipates several opportunities to advocate for recommendations from this committee as they lead up to and engage during legislative season. Now, fortunately for us, I will be in attendance as a representative from the Parent and Community Advisory Council, and I'm willing to share any information on behalf of DAP. So feel free to email me, or we can set up a meeting to discuss any items under those priority areas. Additionally, our two board members here, they will also be in attendance, and I'm sure they will be willing to share anything from this body as well. So I'll take a pause there. Is there any reactions to this information that I just shared?
May I be recognized? Sure.
Is that Miss Patrick?
Yes, it's me.
Yes.
Thank you. So I just wanted to inform the group that the Board of Education and Department of Capital Programs have invited the public to participate in a hearing on the 2027 to 2032 Capital Improvement Program. That hearing is going to be held on Wednesday, September 17th at 6:30 p.m. And this program is it's the 6-year budget plan for school construction, modernization, and major facility investments. So I don't know if it's too soon, Vice Chair, to move business, but I was going to make a motion that we authorize one or more representatives of this body to prepare and deliver testimony, either orally at the public hearing or by written or video submission using the Board of Education and Department of Capital Programs essentially to prioritize accessibility. So if we could send someone or write something, that is my motion.
Vice Chair, may I just interject? So Ms. Patrick can actually make this motion when we get to agenda item new business. So if you want to just kind of make a note of what you just said, and you could be recognized in 7.0 and make the
No
same motion.
problem. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm over here trying to take notes and conduct this meeting, so let me highlight this really quick. All right, Ms. Vickery.
Vice Chair, you don't have to recognize me right now.
Okay. All right. Are there any others for feedback on the top 2 legislative priorities? All right, hearing none. Our
Vice
next,
Chair,
oh yeah,
I'm sorry. Actually, I do have a question. Can you let us know what the other priorities were? Do you happen to have those?
I do. Let me get them. Let me grab them real quick. The other 2 pertains to programs to address multilingual students' academic achievement challenges, sufficient funding to support the provision of a variety of instructional programs for newcomers, integrated academic interventions for long-term English learners, and expanded access to counseling services, all of which are designed to foster both language development and social emotional growth. And then the last one, safe and secure environments for students and staff. Additional grant funding to address safety and security concerns throughout our schools, such as security enhancement devices, vape detector sensors, digital cameras, and alert systems for emergency response so that our students are safe, so that our students and staff are safe. All right. All right. Any other questions? Feedback? All right, hearing none. Item 6.3, new member onboarding process. So, prior to us ending our the word 10 years coming in my head, but our year last year, we had 2 new board members, and there was a question for us to have onboarding with them. I know as an entire group, none of us was onboarded. So I wanted to, I guess, bring to you all that there is no onboarding process. We will have to develop one. And I guess we just want to get your feedback on how you envision this to be for our new members. Ms. Vickery?
So I know that we kind of learned on the go about the Maryland Open Meetings Act um, and things like that. I would suggest that if, because we still have we still have the open question about whether or not the board will accept the recommendations of how new members should join the advisory board, and to remind the public, and then for our new members, we had suggested that any new members, that the appointments should be staggered. Um, so I think that there should at least be some type of training whenever there is a new member that joins the advisory board around the Maryland Open Meetings Act. I think that's probably the most important one. And then I think there maybe should be maybe a quick rundown, and I'm not sure if we need more than 30 minutes, but around the different subcommittees. But that would be my suggestion, just because we are still waiting for that feedback from the board.
Thank you for sharing that. So, formal trainings related to the Opens Meeting Act, would you be okay if I also add Robert's Rules of Order there?
Yes.
Okay.
And then the next person you have that asked to be recognized was Ms. Cottrell. After that was Ms. Toria Myers, and then Ms. Payne, in that order.
Thank you. Ms. Cottrell?
Yes, you guys kind of hit the nail on the head for me. Those were going to be the things that I was going to suggest as well. And then like the staggering is super helpful. I recently turned over my PTO board, and just having information with just things that you might assume people know how to do, but just how to locate documents and, where all those things are super helpful. And we compiled those things as like a one-sheeter. Just because it can be overwhelming when you're trying to locate information and then, still try to orient yourself with what the information shares.
Awesome. Okay, so I caught that. A one pager, kind of navigating, and it's probably going to be especially important now because the school or maybe the Board of Education, and I think this impacts really a lot of schools, or a lot of districts. We are no longer using, Ms. Johnson, remind me. I want to say board docs, but it's not board docs. It
It
is
is
board
board
docs.
docs,
It's-
yes.
Okay. We're no longer using board docs. So I was just learning that tool, and now I have to learn another one. So yes, the location of documents and how to navigate the different tools that we have where information is stored. All right. So Miss is it Torianne Myers?
It's Toraine.
Toraine.
Yep. And I'm
Okay.
just going to echo what you all have been saying. I think there should be some either one page or some kind of onboarding process, because when we started, it was already towards the end of the year. And so we were being asked if we wanted to join a committee, yet not having any kind of understanding of what they were doing, what work was already in flight. And so I'm not a person that wants to jump in and start making suggestions when I don't know what you all have already accomplished. So, and you've got, new student member would be helpful for her to be able to get up to speed at her pace. And just knowing, what work you've already accomplished so that we aren't repeating things would be helpful in the interest of time and our efforts. So that's all.
Absolutely. Okay, thank you for sharing that. So an overview on the subcommittees as far as what they are, and then sharing any information about the accomplishments. All right, Miss Payne.
Yes, I was thinking something similar to Ms. Myers, that the new person would spend time with the chair and vice chair to give them a history of our work, how we've been doing that work, and just anything you feel that they might need to know. And I think that's also an opportunity because everybody's different, right? Everybody might have a different question about something different, and you all could fill them in with that. It also might be helpful to have a established buddy, somebody who's been on, in the group during its tenure, and who could sort of be there as a coach for them as they get acclimated.
That is such a fabulous idea. I absolutely love that. All right. Are there any others? All right, so I have taken notes. I will also follow up with Ms. Vickery to make sure I caught what I needed to catch, and then I will follow
Vice
up
Chair
with Ms.
Smith.
Johnson.
I'm sorry, I think Tangela has her hand raised.
Oh, I thought that might have been that she didn't put it
Oh.
down.
Yeah,
Miss.
it's the leftover.
Okay, all right, thank you. So I will then get with Ms. Johnson to see how can we flesh this out a little bit more, and then get something in place for everyone. All right. All right, so the next item on our agenda is new business. So Miss Patrick, I do have an item here, but I want to yield the floor to you so that you can bring your item back up, so that we can do our vote.
Awesome, thank you. I just wanted to make a motion for DAB to authorize one or more representatives of our body to prepare and deliver testimony, either orally or written, at the public hearing on September 17th for the Capital Improvement Program. Let me know if you need me to repeat, Ms. Vickery.
Okay, this is what I captured. If I got it incorrect, please let me know. It has been properly moved that DAB authorizes one or more members to prepare either I think you said electronic, written, to prepare written
Or oral.
or oral public testimony for the Capital Improvement Program to prioritize accessibility.
Yes, essentially, yep.
Okay. Do we have a second?
A second.
All right. So it has been properly moved and seconded. I'm trying to get back into the swing of things. Are there any questions? Do we have any discussion on this item?
There you go. You got it. Any
All
discussion?
right, thanks. All right, hearing no questions. Ms. Vickery, could you please take a vote?
Sorry, I was just making sure I had the, okay. Oh, give me 1 second, guys. You know, I gotta flip back and forth between my screens. Okay, make sure I have this correct.
Yes, Ms. Patrick? I'm sorry, Ms. Vickery.
Yep.
My apologies all. Just wanted to clarify, do we need to discuss who the designee might be or the people that we are going to designate to do this before we take the vote?
I don't think so, because I think we're taking a vote to even decide if this is going to be done. And then I think there could be discussion further around who would be the persons. And I see Tia, Ms. Johnson, excuse me, coming off mute.
Yeah, so the motion is to pretty much bring it up for discussion. And then once you all, if it's affirmed, then you can bring it back and take it a step further as far as selecting who those members would be at the CIP hearing.
Okay, great. Thank you. Ms. Vickery?
Yep, nope, I'm ready if you guys are.
I don't see any other hands up, so I think we are ready for the vote.
Okay. Miss Amaya.
What did you say, Ms. Vick?
Miss Amaya. Chair Blackwell.
Aye.
Ms. Bowman.
Aye.
Ms. Byrne.
Aye.
Ms. Dorsey. Ms. Doyle. Mr. Dwyer.
Aye.
Board Member Adejeke. Adejeke.
Ajikaye.
Ajakaye. Ajakaye. Board Member Ajakaye.
Aye.
Ms. Cottrell.
Aye.
Ms. Toraine Myers.
Aye.
Ms. Patrick,
Aye.
Ms. Payne,
Aye.
Vice Chair Smith,
Aye.
Ms. Vickery, aye, and Ms. Wingate Robinson.
Aye.
The motion has passed with a total of 15 in the affirmative, 3 absent.
Excellent. And I will just follow up and state, I did not state this initially as part of the actual motion, but the date is September 17th.
You did not, but Ms. Patrick did, so it was already on a motion form.
Great, great, great. Okay. Now, there was a question about who the individuals would be. Part of that motion was one or more members. Do we have anyone interested in participating in the public testimony? Ms. Patrick?
I will share that I do intend to submit a request to speak. So if I can't do it in person, I do intend to submit. So whether I'm selected to represent this group or not, I do plan to submit written testimony. And I think the more, the better. So
Absolutely. Is there anyone else? I know public speaking can be intimidating to some folks, but I think with the right tools and help and encouragement, you can get through it. Ms. Vickery?
I don't mind as well, as long as Ms. Patrick saves me a seat, or Board Member Brown, or Board Member, oh goodness, I'm working on all the names. Olivio, and Board Member Adejake.
Ajakaye.
Ajakaye, I have to.
Ajakaye. We will get it. We will get it together here. Awesome. Thank you, Ms. Vickery. Ms. Patrick, Ms. Blackwell, I do see you, but let me just ask this quick question. Ms. Patrick, is this meeting held over Zoom or is it in person?
I see a Zoom link to join the hearing. So I'm not sure if those testifying will be invited to do so in person, but I see a Zoom link for the hearing.
Okay.
If I may just interject, this is the hearing is virtual.
It's virtual. Okay,
Yeah.
great. So Ms. Vickery, you have a front row seat.
From tennis. Yep, you're right. From tennis, from toddler tennis. Yep.
Awesome. Awesome. Ms. Blackwell.
I would like to speak.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
So maybe Ms. Blackwell, as our chair, perhaps you could be that key person to deliver the message from DIAB, and then everyone else who's willing to also provide public testimony, it will support what you will be delivering on our behalf. Would you be okay with that?
Yes.
Okay, good. Ms. Vickery?
Vice Chair, I'm willing to submit written testimony then.
Okay. All right. Fabulous. All right. Is there any additional discussion on this item? Mr. Dryer?
Just as a question, would you like us to submit our written testimony to a particular person in the group? Or does any of that need to be reviewed, or should we just do that individually and on our own?
I think that that's a fabulous question. And Ms. Johnson, I'm going to defer to you for part of this question. I believe that it's okay for everyone who is doing written testimony that they handle it on their own. But any information that will be submitted for Ms. Blackwell's write-up, I think we probably need to submit all of that via email, and then we'll consolidate it, let everybody review what the written portion will look like before she provides the verbal. Ms. Patrick?
I also wanted to share for Mr. Dwyer and everyone else, they are accepting both written and video testimony. and it may be emailed to testimony@pgcps.org. That's testimony@pgcps.org. So if you are not a writer, or you prefer to speak, which I really appreciate that universally designed opportunity to share, you can submit a video testimony as well.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that, Ms. Patrick. Ms. Johnson. Not Ms. Johnson, Ms. Vickery. I'm sorry.
I just want to remind the group that anything we are providing for Ms. Blackwell, again, with the Opens Meeting Act, it wouldn't have to be, even if you submitted it for everyone to see, it would have to be a submission in, and then maybe the conversation, and correct me where I'm wrong, Ms. Johnson and Ms. Adeline. It would just be the chair and the vice chair who could correspond back with the person. Am I correct? Or because we want to make sure that we're not having too much discussion on email.
Right. So you do want to avoid a quorum, which for this group is 9 members. So as long as it's less than 9, it wouldn't subject itself to having to make the discussion now public. So as long as it's under 9 on that, for that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So Ms. Patrick.
I'm sorry, last thing. I can wait until after you, Ms. Smith.
I was just gonna state, well, maybe I have a question. Ms. Johnson, if a document is created on the Google Drive and members are providing their input, is that allowed?
So when it's open to all members, so that would probably lend itself to now the quorum would probably be triggered potentially. So if it was like a situation where when you all had your subcommittees and you had designated members 4 or 5, that wasn't an issue because we knew how many, members were working in that area. But for something like wanting to submit documents, you're open it to the entire group, that would have to possibly be made public. Yeah, that would have to be made public because you're looking at reaching a quorum. So I don't know if you want to create, I don't know if it would be a subcommittee or just have designated members, like 3 or 4 agree to, okay, let's work on the language for what we want to submit. You could do it that way, and that way stay under that quorum. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that suggestion. Ms. Patrick?
So you could, I'm sorry, Vice Chair, if I could just further add.
Sure.
So if you want to make a motion to form a group for that, and I know it's coming up quick, so this would have to be probably done pretty quickly because the hearing's on the 17th. So if you wanted to make a group, have an established group that would work on language to submit on behalf of DAB, could do that.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Ms. Patrick?
I just wanted to share that you do need to sign up to speak at the hearing. So Ms. Blackwell will need to complete the form, of which Ms. Blackwell, I just forwarded to you via email.
Thank you.
Okay, great. So I move that
Vice Chair,
Ms. Vickery?
I'm so sorry. I wanted to stop you before the motion because if we already have subcommittees formed, wouldn't it be best that our subcommittees can work on those statements in the format of our subcommittees currently and provide that for Ms. Blackwell?
That's actually an excellent idea. So provide any feedback as it relates from the context of those specific subcommittees.
Yeah, because we technically we have a facility subcommittee already. We have a policy 1700, which does tackle some of the accessibility things as well. And then we also have hiring and employment, which also tackles kind of the reasonable accommodation requests, which some of those would fall underneath physical and accessibility around buildings. So just wondering if we want to do that versus a whole new team and trying to get calendars together. And Vice Chair Ms. Adeline has her hand for recognition.
Okay, thank you. And thank you so much for that suggestion. I personally do like it. Miss Adeline?
Hi. I'm trying to see if I understand the question. Are you guys trying to have one document and everyone shares the input in that document?
Yeah, that was the initial thought, so that because this testimony is coming from this group and is being delivered by Miss Blackwell, we wanted to give the group members an opportunity to provide their input.
Okay. To answer the question, yes, they can. Once a discussion doesn't start happening within that document, everyone could enter the input.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
Open Meetings Act is violated once a discussion start happening.
understood. Okay. All right, so maybe we can do a combination of the two. And I believe this does not require a motion. That the three subcommittee groups, if you guys have any initial feedback to share on this subject for capital improvement planning, please input it inside of the Google Doc. I will send out a link for you all to access it. And then if any additional members have any input, by all means, put your comments inside of the document, and then we will help solidify that written response from Ms. Blackwell. All right. Any other feedback or questions, guys? All right, hearing none. All right, continuing on with new business. I have an item just for myself. Miss Bowman, this may be a question specifically for you. In different settings, I have heard that PGCPS, how do I want to word this? Is under special education, I guess, is under, I'm trying to be careful with my words. Let me ask this question. Ms. Bowman, is there a compliance report that's publicly available that DAP can review as it relates to MSDE's concerns with special education and PGCPS?
Yes, so we are under special ed corrective action for two reasons. One is due to special ed vacancies across the system over the last 2 years. And the other concern is an uptick of our state complaints. We did provide a presentation to the Board of Education that is, I know we don't use board docs, but I can get a link to that so that you all can see that presentation that was just presented to the Board of Education.
Okay, great.
And that will kind of detail just some data, the data points that the state looked at based on our vacancies as well as our complaint concerns and an uptick around those, just the overall number of vacancies, well, complaints that a lot of them were addressed to the inability to implement IEP services as a result of our vacancies. So that PowerPoint is publicly available.
Awesome. Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
It was that one. Okay, and so then the next item is related to DAP having a retreat. So at our last meeting, I think actually this was in the May meeting, if I'm not mistaken, this topic had came up, and tonight I would like to make a motion. But before I give the motion, I think it's just important as an advisory group that we have this dedicated space for us to reflect, strategize, be in one as it relates to our priorities, Because again, we're advising and we're advising on 3 key areas. So when we come to this setting, we have an agenda. It's very specific. We haven't had this opportunity to really connect with one another. So I would like to move that DAB host a retreat during the 2025-2026 school year. Is there a second?
Brittany Patrick, second.
It has been properly moved and seconded that DAB holds a retreat for its members during the 2025-2026 school year. Is there any discussion? Ms. Blackwell?
I did offer for the retreat. We just need to think about a date on the calendar and everyone take a vote on it, at least 3 dates, and then people can pick the date. The date that's picked, that's the one we go with.
Okay, so propose at least 3 dates. Okay. Ms. Bowman?
I just want to bring up facilities use and where the meeting may take place. If it's depending on when it takes place, like if it's over the weekend, even at a school building, there is a budget that will need to be associated with the use of facilities. So I'm not sure if DIOP has a budget, but that's just something that we want to make sure that we look into depending on the date. If it's, of course, during the school day or evening, that could be different, but we do have to pay. If we're using school properties on the weekends, we do have to pay our custodian. There are some costs associated with facilities use. So I just wanted to bring that up for the good of the group.
Thank you for that, which that has caused me to think of a question. So Board Member Brown, because I just came from a retreat with the other advisory group and it was funded by the Board of Education.
So that actually was a donated space from the Durant Center. And so that is a possibility that they would be able to donate that space again for us. We would just have to inquire and ask. As a board member, I can say that's a part of this group. I know libraries are also great opportunities. I think there might be I think it's between $25 and $35 to have a room for a certain amount of time, but I don't know what the max amount of time of that is. And so, of course, we want to always just minimize costs as much as possible. And if you guys need assistance in that, I could definitely help with that. But because of the good relationships we do have around the community, that is an opportunity that we could probably ask to see if we can have that space donated again.
Okay. And if this motion does pass, could you look into I guess the question is as it relates to food, because I don't think the food was donated. I think that may have been funded by the board. Would you be willing to check into that for us to see if the board would be willing to fund our meal?
Yeah, I can certainly look into that and what that looks like. I think time is going to be the amount of people that are going to be there is going to be really important because we don't want to buy a whole bunch of food and then not enough people show up, or not enough food and all these people show up. So once we get somewhat accurate estimate, I know that's like battling words, but we'll make a better decision on what that price tag looks like. And see if we could do that.
All right, sounds good. Ms. Blackwell, did you forget to put your hand down?
No.
Okay.
For a place, that would be hopefully be convenient for everyone off the belt, where people can easily get to it. Only I need is a date.
Okay, so
And it will cost
feasibility of location. Okay,
Okay.
thank you. Ms. Byrne?
Sorry about that. Yeah, I would be in support. I love the idea of a retreat. However, I I I would like for also possibly us to consider um, doing a meeting in person. I think that could also bring about just some of what you're talking about with the retreat. Like, you know, there is a difference in actually talking and communicating in person versus virtually. Again, I'm all in favor. But I do know that this group, since we are still relatively new and finding our way and waiting for, you know, feedback and information back from the board on a number of things, I would say that if we cannot, maybe a baby step would be to do a meeting in person, and then, you know, continue to try to plot towards a retreat. But yeah, I don't want to say, you know, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, but I cannot think of a different expression right now. So there we go.
I totally understand. And I will say, when I participated in this retreat a few weeks ago, one of the members basically embraced how good it was to feel people around and how it just changed. Um, Perception is not the word, but it just really changed how we interacted with one another simply because we were in the physical presence. So I definitely understand what you're saying there. So maybe Ms. Johnson, in my participation on these advisory councils with the district, they have always been virtual. So can you tell me, would there be an opportunity for us to have a session in person? I know because it's a public meeting, technology, I think will be one of the key things that we have to make sure that we have access to.
It's a great question. I think I'm going to defer that to my to Cindy if she's still on the call. Cindy, did you happen to catch Vice Chair Smith's question regarding having a public meeting, in-person public meeting? I believe that's what they're asking.
I'm sorry, Cindy, I didn't catch it.
Yes, it can be done.
Oh, it can be done. Okay, great. All right, Ms. Byrne, we're getting some traction. All right, Mr. Dyer.
I know we haven't voted on the motion yet, and we're probably not in a position where we want to just start naming off these different places, but I think we're sort of thinking about where we can go. So maybe this bodes well once we vote for the motion. I went to the grand reopening from capital improvements of the Howard B. Owens Science Center behind Duval High School. I think that is a very, very beautiful location that could definitely take care of what we need in that location. I could also offer up the Bowie Center for the Performing Arts, which is also a PGCPS owned property. It happens to be where I work, so I don't know if there's any sort of conflict of interest with that, but I just wanted to put those two things out there. I think this is a great idea to have a retreat. It gives us an opportunity to speak a little more casually, a little more off the cuff, without the pressure of the cameras being on us and it being a public forum. So I think it's a good idea, and it's also good for the soul to break bread with people. So I
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Is there any additional feedback or thoughts? All right, hearing none. Ms. Vickery, could you please take the vote?
Miss Amaya. I have my note. Board Member Ajikaye.
Yes.
Ms. Blackwell, Chair Blackwell.
Aye.
Ms. Bowman.
Aye.
Ms. Byrne.
Aye.
Ms. Dorsey, Ms. Doyle, Mr. Dwyer,
Aye.
Ms. Cottrell,
Aye.
Ms. Myers.
Aye.
I'm sorry, Ms. Toraine Myers,
You're fine. Aye.
Ms. Patrick,
Aye.
Ms. Payne,
Aye.
Vice Chair Smith,
Aye.
Ms. Vickery, aye, and Ms. Wingate Robinson.
Aye.
The motion carries 15 in the affirmative, 3 absent.
Excellent. So, as far as next steps, I will have a discussion with Board Member Brown, to see what a budget may or may not look like, and then, see how we can start planning from there. All right. I think this will be the last item that I have to do a motion on this evening. So as everyone know, we have 3 subcommittees for this advisory board. And because we are moving into a new school year, I need to know if our current chairs are willing to stay in place. So hold on, I don't have them all listed here. Miss Vickery, I may need your help because I like to make sure that my motion is clear. Can you tell me, Miss Payne, can you tell me the name of that subcommittee?
Recruitment and hiring.
Recruitment and hiring. Miss Bowman, could you tell me the name of yours?
I think it was school construction and accessibility of facilities.
Okay, thank you. All right. So I move to discuss the subcommittee chair's appointments as it relates to anyone willing to remain or step down. We have 3 subcommittees. Ms. Bowman is the chair of school construction and accessibility of facilities. Ms. Payne is the chair of recruitment and hiring, and Ms. Patrick is the chair of policy 1700. I would like to know if the current chairs, actually, I have a question. I'm sorry. I just put a motion on the floor, but I have a procedural question. M- Miss Miss Johnson, this is a motion, but does this need to be a motion? I guess is my question.
Well, if you want to discuss those who are interested, I guess is more so you wanting to form a discussion as to whether or not there's anyone interested in retaining their chair positions for their subcommittees or stepping down. But I don't necessarily, it may not require a roll call vote. Well, I'm sorry. So you want to have a motion to discuss whether the current chairs, if they want to remain, if they want to have the opportunity to remain a chair of their subcommittee or step down. And then once you had a discussion, I don't think like the outcome of it needs to be voted on, if that makes sense.
Okay, understood. All right, so let me restate my motion, guys. The vice chair moves that we discuss whether or not the subcommittee chairs would like to remain or step down from the subcommittees. Again, Ms. Bowman, school construction and accessibility of facilities, Ms. Payne, recruitment and hiring, Ms. Patrick, policy 1700. Do I have a second? Ms. Payne, is it a question or are you seconding?
Yes, I was gonna ask a question, so.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Yes, I said I second.
Second.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you guys. So any discussion, Ms. Payne?
Maybe just some thoughts about, so when we established these subcommittees, we were pretty clear about our charge, right? We were working on the recommendations, we knew what we were doing. I'm not quite sure going forward what the expectations of the committees might be. So if you have some thoughts around that might be helpful.
I don't have a response for you. And the reason why is because we have not received the feedback from the Board of Education. I think this is a very fair question to ask, and it may not be applicable to each subcommittee. So I get the concern about making a commitment, but not knowing what you're actually committing to, how we may be progressing forward. I will say, no, I cannot say that. I don't have an answer. Miss Brown, Chairman or Board Member Brown, do you have any feedback there?
I do not have feedback at the moment, but can provide it at a later date.
Okay. Ms. Payne, what I can share with you that I am knowledgeable of, in our October meeting, we are planning to have Board Member Moss attend so that we can have robust discussion about the recommendations for Board Policy 1700. It doesn't mean that our charge will be changed immediately because that has to go through the formal process. Yeah, so that's the only feedback that I can share right now. And I don't know how this affects the motion. I guess that's kind of why I was wondering, do we need to have a motion with this? Are there any other questions or feedback? Ms. Byrne?
I'm just, hopefully this is relevant to what we're talking about, but am I is my assumption correct that we're kind of in a holding pattern until we have that feedback and decisions from the board on the recommendations that were submitted, right? Because that feedback drives what we do. But maybe I'm not looking at this the right way.
I believe you are looking at it the right way. I think it's dependent upon each work group. So I sit on the school construction and accessibility of facilities, and I know that we had a working document that we were looking at, and we've received some feedback. So I think that there will be an opportunity for that subcommittee to still progress forward with this work. But other subcommittees, they may not. That their work moving forward may be dependent upon the feedback from the recommendations report. So another fair question, Sarah, but I do think it's dependent upon each subcommittee.
Okay, and is there, just to be cognizant and respectful of everyone's time, right? Is there a framework or a timeline in which we think we might get that feedback? Because I was on Board Policy 1700 committee, and there were a number of things. One, ranging from the name of the committee itself to, just to the substance of what we cover. And so that feedback is really determinative of what we do. And I really, and that was, I know everybody's doing their thing. It would just be helpful to have a sense of, are we talking next month? Are we talking November?
So when we started the meeting, I did mention that we anticipate having the feedback by our October meeting. Board Member Brown, if that feedback is available before then, would we be able to distribute it to DAB?
Yeah, I mean, I think that obviously the board is going to take these recommendations very seriously, and so uh we would like to have the deadline extended for the October meeting because we do want to bring Robin Welsh also into the meeting. But I also just want to make sure that we still honor board policy 1700. We still have work to do as a committee, right? There is still work to do. So we're not gonna, just because this is not being said right now, we do still want to make sure that we focus on what the board policy says and how we can move forward to making sure that our special education students are having the facilities and the things that they need moving forward. So we still have a policy that we do fall under that we still have to abide by. So I just want to make sure that nobody feels like we can't do anything until these recommendations get done. There's still work to do.
Sure.
And so I want everyone to be encouraged. That's all.
Sure. And I appreciate that. I will just say, as someone myself and how my own brain thinks, and sometimes it is hard to switch gears once you're going like full throttle in a certain area. And so that's why I'm just, just kind of reiterating that having that feedback. If things are staying as is, fantastic. We will carry on. But if we're to get feedback like 3 months from now that it's changed, like that's going to make a difference to everyone's life and their work and their time that they're putting into this committee, right?
100%.
So I would just having a time frame that we can all kind of work towards and respect would be great. And I know everybody appreciates that. So thank you.
Yeah, 100%. And just know you all, myself and board member Alibo and the new student member of the board, we are working tirelessly to advocate for you all. So I don't want you all to ever think that the work that you all are doing is going unnoticed. We take this very seriously. And look, we all have responsibilities, and the fact that you all are even on this call speaks volume to your dedication to the work. And so we would not be doing our jobs if we did not listen to the recommendations and if we did not ensure that you all would get the feedback that you needed to move forward and to make sure that PGCPS scholars continue to be successful and be the catalyst and the example for other communities that are struggling with the same thing. So please know your work does not go unnoticed. We want to make sure that we always have communication that is open, and the feedback that you all gave to us, we do take it very seriously. And so we don't want to respond back in haste. We want to make sure that you all have the vital information and the subject matter experts who are doing this and who understand the weight and everything else that goes with it. And so please be patient with us. There's a saying, hurry up and wait. Those are other conflicting words I use today, but just know that we definitely take it very seriously. And as soon as we find out the information, we will not withhold it. We will definitely make sure that you all get that information. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. And as I was just listening to the discussion, I think it might be worthwhile for you all to consider. We're in legislative season, so if there's anything under those 3 specific areas that may impact new legislation or revisions to current legislation, maybe that could be something that the subcommittees consider focusing on right now while we're waiting to hear back from the board. So I'll just put that out there. Ms. Adeline?
Yeah, I have a question. In reference to the charge, are you guys trying to get the charge for 1700 or the charge for the subcommittees?
I think we know what our charge is. The concern is that we have made recommendations, and without knowing how the school system is planning to move forward, it impacts how we move forward. Because some of those recommendations may need to, or based on the feedback, they may need to be fleshed out a little bit more or researched a little bit more. I know that we're still waiting, one subcommittee is still waiting on a response for a data request. So I think we understand the charge. We just want to make sure that we're moving accordingly. So again, thinking about strategic priorities, what is it that, what's the focus area right now? What's the feedback from the school system so that this advisory group knows how to move forward?
Okay, I got you. All right, thanks.
All right. I thought I saw another hand. Is there any other discussion? All right. So I guess the question is, I will start with Miss Patrick. Would you like to remain as the chair for Board Policy 1700?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. Miss Payne, would you like to remain chair of the Recruitment and Hiring Subcommittee?
Yes.
Great. Miss Bowman, I know you have a lot of work on your plate right now. Would
I
you
was gonna,
like
s-
to?
I was gonna say yes, but I may also have one of my directors as my backup.
Great, great, great. Awesome. So that made this work very easy right now. I really do appreciate the commitment that we have with this group. It makes for a lighter load. And it truly shows how we're dedicated to the subject area. Let me get back to my agenda. Maybe I need to ask this question. Ms. Johnson, do I need to ask whether or not there are any objections with everybody remaining in their spot?
So you could ask if there's any additional topics. You look at the script.
All right.
The questions in there. You can
Okay.
proceed from there. Do you see that on page 4?
Maybe that's where I'm at. All right. Yes, I see it. Thank you. Are there any additional topics anyone would like to bring forward for discussion? Ms. Terrain Myers.
Hi, I'm just gonna mention this topic because I know a lot of you have probably seen it, the Baltimore project. And it talks about some of the missteps when it comes to the dedicated aid issue. I'm sure there are others that they've uncovered. But I remember us talking about in one of our committees, recruitment and hiring. But I guess my comment is this: a lot of what we do is rooted in law. And so I know that we make recommendations, but it's awkward to me to make recommendations to tell the school board to follow the law. So our recommendations should be suggestions on how they can accomplish that following the law, because that Baltimore project pointed out some of the things that happen at schools. Dedicated aides are designated in children's IEPs, yet they don't exist for them. And so solving that kind of problem is kind of what I'm more interested in and happy to participate in any discussion about it. And selfishly, yes, I have kids with IEPs and the struggle is real. So I just wanted to make that comment.
Thank you for sharing that. And I heard two things. I personally don't think that this advisory group is in place for us to tell them to follow the law. I mean, that is the expectation. I think when there are compliance issues or concerns, I think our role is to understand the root cause and provide advisement from there. So that would be my initial reaction to it, but I totally agree. I totally agree with what you stated. Ms. Wingate Robinson.
I had a question. Last year we had talked about putting something together to like share with schools to like introduce our group or give them more information on it. And I was thinking like back to school nights are starting up at school and it's probably too late this year maybe for it, but should be maybe plan for the end of next year, preparing something for back to school night so that we can have something just while it's fresh in my mind.
I'm so glad that you brought this to the table.
Vice Chair,
Since
I'm sorry if I may just kind of interject. I'm sorry, who just spoke? Was that Erica
Wingate
Wingate Robinson?
Robinson. Mhm.
That could actually be a motion, if that's being as an action item, if
Okay,
that will need to be stated as a motion.
gotcha.
So if she wants to restate it. Um,
Before she put a
okay.
motion, if it does become a motion, I just wanted to state that last school year, there was a document that was issued to the principals. What is unclear to me is whether or not it was further distributed. I can tell you as a parent of two scholars at two different schools, I did not receive the information. So, if we were to have any type of communication that go forward, I think Board Member Brown, Ms. Johnson, I don't know what the communication process looks like, but if it was a barrier, if there was a hiccup in that process, I think that has to be addressed before we, put any more efforts in this. I think it needs to get out there that this group was revamped. Even known about, I think we even need to make known the good work that we was able to accomplish in those few months. But if it's just gonna stop in an email box, that may not be the best effective way to communicate this particular group. So I wanted to react to that really quick. And Ms. Wingate Robinson, let me ask you, because I do see some other hands. Do you intend to do a motion?
Again, I have to remember how to do it properly though.
Okay, and we can help you out. All right. Miss Johnson, I need some guidance. Do I need to get the motion first, or do I need to continue taking feedback that
Really, let's get her motion first, and then you could open it for discussion.
Okay. All right. So Miss Wingate Robinson, when you open up the motion, you want to say, I move that, and then whatever it is that you would like us to do.
Okay. Sorry, I've been sick. I'm getting better though. I move that at the end of this school year, we start to prepare a document to share with the schools for back to school night at the beginning of the, I guess, 2026, 2027 school year. To inform them of our group and the work that we've done so that they have more information.
Okay, great. Is there a second?
A second.
All right. It has been properly moved and seconded that DAB prepares a document by the end of the school year to inform the school system about DAB and the work we have accomplished. Is there any discussion? All right. So Ms. Vickery, your hand is still up. Is it related to this particular item? All right, you have the floor.
It was my understanding throughout last school year that it was discussed that we were supposed to become partners with our board member so that we could, find out more about the schools that they represent and the areas that they represent and the things that are going on so that we could advocate for those things within our district. So I took that charge to heart and I am connected to my District 8 board member. She lets me know what the families are thinking about. She attends most of the back to school nights and she has her monthly chat and choose or coffee with a board member, whatever you want to call it. And when things pop up, she actually texts me or she'll email me. So while I don't disagree with this, I also thought because we don't necessarily have individual budgets, that we were supposed to connect to our board member and kind of that was our person to speak with and our person to get that information from, as well as our person to, you know, when they have their community meetings to attend, if we can. So I'm six one way, half a dozen another. We're using all the colloquial terms tonight. So yes, I'm six one way, half a dozen another.
No, I think I'm grateful that you pointed that out, and that actually reminded me that last school year we also had discussed creating like talking points as we have these discussions so that, you know, it's one voice of DAB. But I don't think we ever we didn't have an opportunity to get that document created. So that may be something else that we want to consider working on. Ms. Payne?
Thank you, Vice Chair. I just wanted to share a concern that I have. Not that I don't understand it, because I understand the conflict of scheduling. When we first started the app, we all had input into when our meetings would be. With this schedule, we did not. And I know that we were trying to balance a lot of things. So already I know there are several meetings that conflict with my CCAT meeting, so I'm not going to be there. And I just want to, you know, note that already I know that. And that concerns me because I'd love to be in both places, but I can't. So it's more of a comment than anything else. And if going forward, if the group could have just a heads up input, it might be helpful because I might have been able to maybe reschedule some of those to be able to make these.
Fair enough. So, Ms. Payne, I do want to react to that, but I want to hold the comment because of the motion that's on the floor.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Ms. Patrick?
This is unrelated to the motion. I just want to share that I do have to log off at 7:45. So I want to.
Okay. All right. So, is there any additional feedback or comments related to preparing a document by the end of the school year related to information on DAB? All right, hearing none. Ms. Vickery, could you take a vote?
Sorry, give me 1 second. My family is texting me from the other room. Okay, I am ready. Miss Amaya. Board Member Ajikaye.
Aye.
Okay. Chair Blackwell.
Aye.
Miss Bowman.
Aye.
Miss Byrne.
Aye.
Miss Dorsey. Miss Doyle. Mr. Dwyer.
Aye.
Miss Cottrell.
Aye.
Miss Toraine Myers.
Aye.
Miss Patrick.
Aye.
Miss Smith.
Aye.
Miss Payne.
Aye.
Miss Vickery, I'm abstaining. And Miss Wingate Robinson.
Aye.
The motion carries with 14, 1 abstention, and 3 absence.
Okay, great. The motion has been adopted. Ms. Payne. So in the May, I think it was the May meeting. It was either the May or June meeting. We had all agreed to meeting on the third Monday. And as DAB, Miss Johnson, I need your help here. I think what ends up happening was that there was a conflict on the schedule with the use of Zoom, and we as in the exec board had to decide on other dates that this group could meet because of that conflict. We did not come back We did not solicit for feedback from DAP because I don't know what the because is. I don't know if Ms. Johnson had to get those dates keyed in or what, but I know what came to us was that there was a conflict. So Ms. Johnson, do you want to add any information there?
Yeah, so if my recollection serves me correctly, believe there was an early vote as to when the date and the time, because I believe the very first meeting of DAP was held at like maybe 5 or 5:30, and it was noted that that was too early of a time for most members. And so I recall there being, excuse me, I may have to, and it may be in some previous meeting minutes that you all wanted to or agreed to, I want to say the third or fourth Tuesday. I think it was the third Tuesday of the month at 6 p.m. And that's been pretty much what we've tried to go with. However, as Vice Chair Smith noted, the board has multiple standing committees and other advisory groups, and we all pretty much use the same account to host these meetings. So there does become a major conflict in the scheduling. So sometimes we may not always be able to meet on the designated day that most members can meet on. But I think for the most part, the third Tuesdays were chosen. There's a couple times in the year, maybe 2 or 3 times, where you're not going to meet on the third Tuesday because maybe there was a holiday or there was a conflict. But for the most part, it is tight scheduling these meetings. We have to work around other committees that use the same link that we use to launch the meetings via Zoom. So that's pretty much, but I do recall early on, there was a vote, and it seems like most of the group had felt that the third Tuesday at 6 p.m. worked for most of the group. And I
Thank you.
do want to also, if I may, Vice Chair, that in Board Policy 1700, it does state that members have to be present at least 50% of the meetings. So, I mean, of course, I know none of you want to miss any meetings, but even if you miss 2 or 3, it's not going to be held against you. But if you miss more than 50%, then yeah, you may have an issue there. But as long as you attend at least 50% of the meetings.
Thank
Yeah,
you for
and I'm sorry. I was just
Thank you for sharing that, Ms. Johnson. So I will say that I do recognize Ms. Payne's concern. And as a parent of special needs children, I ideally want to be able to attend the CCAC meetings myself. So, Ms. Payne, if I may ask, would you be willing to share with DAB the dates of the CCAC meetings so that Chair Blackwell and myself can take this and have a discussion with Ms. Johnson so that we could see where the misalignment is and then come back to this group and decide on new dates? Would that be okay?
well, thank you, Vice Chair Smith, and for the discussion. And I want to be clear, it's not a criticism. I just want to point out that there will be a conflict, and if I'm not here, I don't want it to be, the lack of commitment, a perception about lack of commitment. I think that going forward, the next set of meetings, maybe let's do that coordination up front, but I'm not suggesting that that we try to change these. I think it's too difficult to try to go back and do that. But I just want to make sure that the conflict is known up front. That was more my point.
Gotcha, understood. But I do think it's equally important that we avoid the conflicts, especially in light of knowing the priorities of the district right now. So there may be things that's said in your meetings that may impact what we are discussing here in DAP. And I would like to hear it firsthand and not have to go to a recording. I'll just say it like that. So yes, if there is an opportunity that we can make adjustments, I would be for that.
Okay. Well, Vice Chair Smith, I will send you all those dates at your request.
Okay, great. Thank you. Ms. Johnson.
Yeah, and just to that end, I would just kind of suggest that perhaps it would be a good idea, maybe around the last meeting or two for the school year, maybe you all might want to discuss the meeting dates going into the next year, so that way we could try to avoid this conflict. Again, I have to say it's very tight trying to work around other committees. So unfortunately, we'll try to do the best that we can, but just keep that in mind. There's other meetings that are happening throughout the week as well. And also I had something else to add, and I don't remember. But that's pretty much what I wanted to add.
Okay, all right, thank you. Any other discussion? All right, Ms. Payne, thank you for bringing that up. That is all for new business. We are pretty much at the end of this meeting. So I thank you all for taking the time out to attend tonight. We have a lot of work ahead of us, even though we don't have the feedback just yet, but I know that we're gonna have some fruitful discussions this school year. So the chair would like to inform the public that the next virtual meeting of the Disability Issues Advisory Board is scheduled for September 30th, 2025. Please continue to visit the Prince George's County Board of Education website for meeting details and any updates. So again, thank you all for your valuable contributions. Ms. Johnson, do you have a question? Okay. Thank you all for your valuable contributions. To our viewers, thank you for watching and for your continued support. There being no further business, the time now is 7:46, and the September 9th, 2025 meeting of the Disability Issues Advisory Board is hereby adjourned. Have a wonderful evening, everyone.
Thank you.